What's up, guys? Welcome to the Jared Williams Show. We got a special guest on today named Matt Delnay. What's up, man?
What's up? Thank you for having me. This is great.
Anytime.
Yeah.
You can come anytime. Anytime you want.
Anytime I travel down south.
I guess south.
Yeah.
It was north for you, actually, yeah?
Well, yeah, north of the southern home.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. South of the northern home. In between there, you know.
Yes.
Who knew you could drive? This is the crazy thing. Who knew you could drive 10 hours and still be in Florida?
I know, it's bigger than you think.
Yes.
Because you don't live, I'm going to be totally honest with you. You guys were telling me where, because it's Cape Coral, right?
Cape Coral, yep.
You were telling me where Cape Coral was, and
Yeah.
I have no idea where it is.
Yeah, north of Fort Myer.
North of Fort Myers. So it's in between Sarasota and Fort Myer?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much Fort Myer. It's just across the bridge.
Gotcha.
It's the less touristy side.
Okay,
You know,
cool.
it's where people actually live.
And so from there to here in Pensacola is how long?
It's 10 hours.
10 hours of driving. Yep.
We only had like a couple stops,
Yeah.
you know, to get gas.
Because it's like 6 or 7 to get to Orlando from here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
Orlando's 3 hours. Yeah.
My old house is 4 miles from the Alabama border.
No, I didn't
Yeah.
know we were so close to Alabama.
Yeah. It's pretty much Alabama.
I mean, it's a stone throw. Yeah.
It is.
It's not even Florida, honest. I mean, it's so
not.
green because the trees are different. Like
They are.
we only have palm trees.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we've got spruce.
Yeah. You got like trees.
Tree trees.
I actually feel like I'm in the UP of Michigan, to be honest.
Yeah.
The Upper Peninsula.
I could see that.
Yeah. It's a little more rustic. And then you come upon this touristy town. I had no idea about Pensacola. This is my first time in Pensacola Beach. I had no idea how busy it is.
It is. It gets pretty busy.
I'm like, wow.
It's like it's busy, but have you ever been to Destin?
No.
Dude, Destin gets insane.
Yeah.
Like, this is like the best kept secret from the Destin visitors.
That's crazy because when we came home the other night, there was an actual legit party going on across the road with hundreds of kids.
Yeah.
And
Like high school kids?
to me, everybody looks high school at this point in my life.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure they're high school.
Yep.
But yeah, like I thought that just happened in the movies. I didn't think it was like real. It was the first time I've actually experienced something like that.
Welcome to Pensacola Beach.
Yeah, it's not a small town, Caledonia, Michigan.
I think we're one of the only beaches that still allow drinking on the beach.
I saw that.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. I think there's only a couple left in Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the beaches that don't allow drinking, if you have an jacuzzi, I don't think anyone would ever stop you.
Nobody cares.
No.
Yeah.
But
it's sparkly water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fizzy water, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right on.
Awesome.
So I remember, how long has it been since you sold your company?
2 years.
2 years since you sold your company.
Crazy. It's gone faster. The time has gone faster now.
After you sold it, it went faster than building it?
Yeah, because I had it for 3 years.
Had it for 3 years, and you've sold it,
And we're going on 2.
It.
Yeah, we're
You're
going
on 2 years without
This
it.
is the second year. Yeah.
So I remember, me and you were kind of growing our companies like at the same time.
Oh, I felt like we were battling, like, because we were always like right there next to each other, fighting with like reviews.
Yes, we were.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a funny story though, so I'm really motivated. I'm not a competitive person.
Yeah.
But I like to win.
Yeah.
And if that makes sense, like team sports, I could care less about. Like I played baseball when I was a kid. I was not competitive whatsoever. Could have cared less about winning.
Yes.
But for some reason in business, I win.
Yes.
I don't lose. I'm a winner. And it took me a little bit to realize this, but so I would pick out people to beat.
Yeah.
And I would say, I'm going to win this competition.
Yes.
You were the guy that I picked. I saw you and you were like, I remember like the first time I saw you, you just bought like 3 vans. And at the time I only had 1 van.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this guy's slightly ahead of me. That's what I felt like the whole time. You were always like,
it was the whole time.
You were always like 2 steps ahead. It was like, and so you'd buy 3 vans and I'd be like, crap, I got to go buy some vans and like do some marketing because I got to win.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
you were always just 2 steps ahead, but it was super motivating for me because I saw you just like doing stuff.
Surprisingly, I would do the same thing.
Yeah.
So I would pick people
Yeah.
that were just like 1 truck ahead of me.
Yeah.
And then I would copy everything they did. I would talk to them. I'd reach out to them.
Yep.
And then once I was past them, I'd find where the next pitfalls were to get to that next size, and I'd pick that next person.
Yeah.
And so that's what I just started the race a little bit sooner, but the pace was there. We had the same pace.
We did, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was super nice because
Yeah.
I just saw Matt buy trucks, and I was like, I'm going to go buy some trucks. I saw Matt drop 10 grand on something. I'm like, I'm dropping 10 grand on something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you went quick. And
Yeah.
so I guess let's just start. You can just tell your story, and then we'll get into some details of it. Like, how did you
Start?
I mean, you're from Michigan.
Yep.
I don't know were you born there?
Yep.
Okay.
My whole life, same house.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I was that kid. Like, I worked for my dad as his landscaper. I did that for 6 seasons. At the same time, I worked at a chicken farm, catching chickens in the middle of the night.
Yep.
I mean, I worked. I loved work, and that was just really important to our family. Like, I love sports.
Uh-huh.
I think I could have been really good at them, but that wasn't my path. My parents said, "Hey, you need to work, and you gotta make money and pay for your own clothes."
And your family, like, what'd your dad do?
He's always been a landscaper.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
How about your mom? Did your mom work?
So yes, it's more like volunteer work, ministry work. She worked at a pregnancy care center.
Oh, cool.
So yep. So they get donations for diapers and stuff, and help young new moms who are typically single, and help them out. So it was really cool. It's more passion work. There wasn't a lot of money in it, but
And so Dad had a landscaping business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Was it like
One truck.
just him and landscaping?
Yeah, he had grown that typical story, where you grow to like 2, 3, 4 guys, and it just gets expensive. And he's such a perfectionist, and I thank God for that, because that really instilled a lot of perfectionism in me. But I'm not nearly like him. He can sit there and look at, like, we had him redo our deck at our house up in Michigan, and there was a corner that wasn't level right, and he sat there for 6 hours until it was perfect.
Yep.
Absolutely. And it really, like, who does that? Not a lot of people. No. And I have a little bit of that. I would probably look at for 2 hours and then just make it work. Right.
Yep.
And so there's a little bit, like, I think there's giftedness in that.
Yeah.
But you definitely want to run the middle road, because you can get lost so quickly in perfection.
Yep.
That becomes counterintuitive, and it'll hold you back.
Definitely.
And as you're growing, right, with more and more techs, you're trying to keep that quality high, but you will lose some. Nobody's going to work like you.
No.
Because nobody has that ownership, and you try to instill that and empower that ownership. And I don't want to say that they'll never get it, because I think some guys do pick it up.
Yep.
And we always are very thankful for those employees who do.
Yep.
And we treat those people to, like, they get special treatment because of it.
Yeah.
And so if you're like an employee listening to this, just know, like, your boss, he notices people who actually care and aren't doing just the 8 and skate.
Yeah.
I'm going to do the bare minimum and leave. And it's like, well, okay, just know I'm taking note of that. I may not be saying it, but I'm watching. And I know my heartbeat of my company.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And so, yeah.
I always told so I had guys that would probably take that too far. They were more like your dad.
Yeah.
And they were like absolute perfectionists.
Yeah.
And I was like, I would always tell them, guys, let the customer decide if the quality is good enough or not.
Yes.
Like, at the end of the day, they're paying us for a service. If they're happy with it and they're okay with the quality, obviously don't go put in garbage quality stuff. That's not acceptable. But, you don't have to spend 10 hours trying to get that one little piece of pipe sitting just right.
My thing with my guys was, like, there is a certain threshold that you can work on something and struggle on something. Mm-hmm. If you're not getting it within an hour, you need a call. And because we'll come out, like, whether it was I'll come out or one of the guys who've done this longer will come out, because nothing's worse. And I remember doing a Monday morning meeting on this. Nothing's worse than it's 4:30 and you call and you're like, I just can't get this. And you're like, it's 4:30. I don't want to go out.
Yeah.
These guys don't want to go out. Like, now we're all mad because we're all staying late because you waited till 4:30 to call in to get help?
Yep.
Really? You think that's helping out the team? It's like, call at 2.
Yeah.
There's
please.
It's like, be a little humble. It's worse. Like, you're setting yourself up, as an employee. But yeah. So there's that.
So you grew up let's go back to your story.
So we're back to perfectionism and,
yeah.
working with my dad. My dad was great. I love my dad, and I love my mom too. So if they ever listen to this, I love you guys.
We'll send them a copy.
Sometimes, yeah, because sometimes you're talking about your like family and like the pitfalls and the struggles and the things like that, and it kind of like puts like a bad rap, like, oh man, he really thought that about us. And it's like, no, it wasn't exactly like that, but it's like it's part of my journey.
Yeah,
right. And so I'm working with my dad, and I meet Sarah, and she was awesome.
Who's Sarah?
My wife.
Okay.
And everyone, I mean, Sarah's awesome.
She's coming on next.
She's coming out next, and
the joke is we're gonna get the real side of the story.
You'll see actually someone who actually knows what they're talking about, and the guy just smiles a lot.
Yeah,
the funny guy.
There you go.
This is the funny guy. And so I met Sarah. She took life a little more seriously than I did, and she was like, "Hey, if you're serious about marrying me, you got to make more money."
Yep.
And working with your dad isn't gonna cut it.
Okay, well, how much money were you making working for your dad?
$12 an hour.
$12 an hour. And this isn't that long ago.
No.
Like, how long ago was that? Because you're 32?
Yeah, so 10 years.
Yeah, so 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That would have been 2015.
Yeah.
I'm good at math, by the way.
Yeah, that was 10 years makes it really easy.
It
I
does.
could have said
Thanks
like
for that.
11 and a half.
Yeah, and then I would have struggled for like 20
I would
minutes.
have. It's so true. Yeah, so I made it really easy. Let's say 10 years.
Okay.
And so luckily when I worked at the same time, I always had like multiple jobs because as I was working.
Because you were only getting paid $12 an hour.
Because I got paid $12 an hour here, $10 an hour there, and then $20 an hour under the table cash, at the farm, right? And so I used to also work at a farmer's elevator where a plumbing business owner would come and get his dog feed. And one day...
A farmer's what?
It's called Farmer's Elevator.
Is that like a store?
Yeah, like a feed store.
Oh, gotcha.
It's where we'd mill up, the farms would bring in their corn and stuff, and they'd mill it up, and then you'd give it to the animals and stuff.
Oh,
but I was in the store, so I was the bag boy. So I'd be lifting like 50-pound bags all day and throwing them in farm trucks so they could bring their feed. Well, one of the guys would get his dog food from the store. He was a plumbing business owner. And he's like, Matt, you have just a great personality. You work extremely hard. You should work for me as a plumber. And I thought that was so funny, so weird. I'm like, I don't even know what a plumber is. We've never used a plumber. I thought nobody needed a plumber. Why would anyone need a plumber? My dad did everything.
Yep.
Any of the trades, right? I just grew up in that house where we never called anybody out.
Yep, same here.
And so when Sarah mentioned that I need to make more money, his name and his number just came straight up into my brain. And I was like, I got to call Don. And so I called him up, and I hadn't talked to him for like over a year. And he's like, whoa, how do you remember this? I'm like, I don't know, I just did. And he's like, all right, let's go. We did the interview at Wendy's.
Nice.
With his sons because it's a family-owned business.
Cool.
And then that started my plumbing career, and I was a drain cleaner.
We're like running service calls or what?
Yeah, so it took about 2 months to get my own truck, which is, I'm always shocked when someone's like, yeah, I'm going to hire apprentices, and it's going to take a year.
Yeah.
I'm like, a year? It took me like 2 months. I had no idea what plumbing was. Like,
Yep.
I just came in. It's like, oh, yeah, you shut water off here. You take this out, and then you put it back in.
Yep.
Something that's new.
Yep.
That shouldn't take a year to figure out.
No.
And so, like, if you're somebody who's like, oh, man, I just haven't figured this out. I've been plumbing for 3 years. You're in the wrong trade.
So how does that work in Michigan, like with the licensing?
Yeah. Yep.
Because in Alaska, I can't take a guy with no experience and bring him in. He has to get enrolled into a state-approved apprenticeship.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
which
yeah,
up
yeah.
there is like, you basically got to get in a union
Yeah.
to be able to do that.
Yeah. So pretty much you're an apprentice for 3 years. You work under the master plumber. When it's service, the caveat here in service is if it's repair, technically anyone can do that without supervision.
Gotcha.
It's when it comes into like running new or putting in water heaters, something that actually can be dangerous.
Yep.
Then you're technically supposed to be under the supervision of that person.
Right. Is that enforced?
How do you enforce it?
Yeah, you don't.
I mean, the state doesn't have enough people to look over that.
Unless you're like on a water heater, everywhere are you supposed to pull a permit?
Yes.
Do guys do that?
Not at the beginning.
Yeah.
Not
okay.
at the beginning. Well, a lot of people stay away from like electric water heaters, right? Like you shouldn't need a pull permit for electric water heater. There's not a lot that goes on there. But yes, for a gas water heater or tankless water heater, you're changing up. Because the gas flow and stuff, a lot of guys don't know how to. They never get in the math of things, right?
Right.
And so they don't really know. So those things I do think should be permitted. Like in our company, when we started our company, Mountaineer, I always made sure the guys, they had to take before and after pictures. And we would look at those pictures to make sure it was up to code. And if it wasn't up to code, we would call the customer and say, hey, I don't, there's some concerns I see in the after picture that we want to come and address and just take care of them for you.
Yeah.
And we're sorry for the inconvenience of having to come to your house again.
I can't see a customer getting mad at you for that.
They loved it.
Yeah.
They were so thankful.
Yeah.
And it gave such peace of mind. And then when you do things like that,
You're now the honest guy.
you're the honest guy. You're the one that they're like, hey, I had this company out, and they actually care. Because so many companies are so driven on numbers, like it's getting through as many jobs as possible, that they've totally forgotten to care.
Yeah.
And it's like
100%.
that, and this is like my little thing is like when you go in for the apparent emergency, to them this is like their world's ending.
Yeah.
You know, I got this leak or whatever. Now you have to come, ruin my day. I can't go to work, whatever. You get done with that. It takes one question. Ma'am, sir, is there anything else you'd like me to look at while I'm here?
Yep.
Because guess what there is?
Yep.
There is a lot of things they want you to look at. But they think you're so busy because that's the way we've made the trade to seem like, oh, you just can't get a plumber out. They're so busy. It's like everybody has slow periods. So it's like just make it a consistent, like this is how we do it here. Is we're going to slow down. We're going to take our time. I never piled on jobs on my guys. It was one job at a time. I never told them about I never wanted them to know about like the dispatch board, how busy or not busy we were. I just said, you go out, you take care of that customer and don't worry about, my job is to worry about that.
You make your whole day at that customer's house.
Please do.
If you could make your whole year at that customer's house, I'd be stoked.
I would too. If I could spend a little less money on marketing, that'd be great.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Like I just, and that's the thing. It's like you're always booking, the other little trade secret is like you book every call that comes in, right? You want to book every call that comes in because as an owner, that's going to tell you where am I sitting actually with marketing. And when you get employees that try to control the schedule, they won't book calls. They won't do things like that. And then so you don't get accurate information. It's like, oh, is my marketing actually working? And there's so many small pitfalls that hopefully we're going to touch on a lot of them as we go through my journey here that will stagnate your business and keep you stuck where you are, whether it's, from the 100,000 to the 990,000 to the 1 million to 2.5 million, 2.5 million to 5 million. And then beyond that, then you're a whole different company, you become a monument. But yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah. Especially in like you say, we don't know if our marketing is working. Like I remember in the beginning having CSRs who the schedule was full. And so they would turn people down.
I know.
And I was like, just book it.
Book it.
We don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Book that thing and then we'll move them if we have to. We'll just keep them going as long as they'll go, we'll go.
The customer doesn't know how many people you're rescheduling. Only you know that.
Yeah.
So if you book, let's say you book 50 jobs and you only have a capacity for 10. You can reschedule 40 jobs in a day. I know it's a pain in the butt.
It is.
The office managers don't like me.
No.
Because they actually have to, because I'm a big proponent that you cannot have a CSR and an office manager in the same position. Because you can't have the office manager saying, yes, we can be out today, absolutely. And then 2 hours later saying, oh, I'm so sorry, we can't come out today. Well, you told me.
Yeah.
I talked to you specifically and you told me.
Yeah.
Whereas when you have somebody who's outside your organization, that's why everyone should be using Plumbline. Because they're outside of your organization and they're trained to book the call.
Yeah.
Now when your office manager, if you're like a smaller company, now you can run with one office staff. That office manager reschedules those jobs. And then they're like, oh, yeah, I'm so sorry that, Sandy booked it today. We just weren't able to make it out because, the plumber was on this job. It took longer than expected. So we'll just come, let's say, Thursday. So I'm going to reschedule people on my slow days. This is another thing where a lot of people screw up is they'll let's say Monday's super busy and they'll reschedule them all on Tuesday. Well, Tuesday has a possibility of also being probably like 80% as busy as Monday was. And then Wednesdays and Thursdays tend to die down. And then Friday's crazy busy again. So it's like, if I'm rescheduling, why am I not playing them on my slowest days?
Totally.
It's like these little micro adjustments in business.
People just don't think about that stuff.
Oh, and it makes the difference. That's why there's only the 9% that are making money, right?
So that I always tell everybody, I think the biggest mistake that most business owners make, number one mistake, is they literally just don't think about what they're doing.
Yeah.
They just don't take the time to just chill out, sit down, grab a pen and paper,
Yes.
and literally just think.
Yes.
Just take 20 minutes every day to just think. Like, what are the problems you're having?
Yes.
How do we solve them?
Yes.
It's that simple.
I was thinking about this morning because I'm like trying to get my mind right for the podcast.
Uh-huh.
And the last year and a half, I've been able to spend every day with my kids, which is super, super cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
But my kids, they're 7, 6, and I got 2 4-year-olds.
Twin 4-year-olds.
Yeah, twins. Yeah. And it's wild. The house is wild. And they're always making noises and they have all these problems. And these problems honestly don't matter.
Yeah.
But it takes up all my mental capacity
Yeah.
for these problems. I can't even think about anything like investments or more businesses or whatever. I'm just like, I got these kid problems I got to worry about now.
Yeah.
And the same thing with your business. If you're, the guys always gave kid problems to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh man, I don't know. Should I use this 90 or this 45 or this street 22 or what? And it's like, why are you asking me this?
Yeah.
Like, you're a professional. I mean, is the doctor calling the other doctor boss? Like, should I give this guy ibuprofen or should I give him Advil?
Yep.
It's like, come on, guys. Like, there's 1,000 different ways. And this is in plumbing. There isn't one way there's one, obviously you want to go downhill and, there's like the core ways, but there's not one way to get there.
No.
There's 100 different ways to get there.
Yep.
And it's like, so let's just do the way that gets there.
Yep.
And then take a picture of it and see if it looks nice. And I'll tell you if it looks nice or not.
Yep.
I mean, I had one guy, he was on call. He sent me a picture. I don't know why this just popped up in my brain. It was on Saturday. Sends me a picture. He's like, look at this job. I did so well. And I look at it. I go, what the? And I zoom in and he had like a 90 on top of a 90. Like, it was real tight. And they're using Uponor fittings. And there has to be a little gap in between to really make sure that holds good. And I was like, dude, you can't have that.
Yep.
Go back in there, shut off the water to the entire building again, and do it right.
There you go.
What? Really? Yeah. Yeah, really, man. Because I don't want to be the guy who has to keep coming back every 3 weeks, 3 months. I mean, you're going to lose credibility so fast as a company if you have a lot of callbacks.
Yep.
The reason you have a lot of callbacks is because you rush your guys.
Yep.
And it's like, you want to make money? Don't have callbacks. How do you not have callbacks? Slow everyone down. Slow everyone down.
Yep.
Think about it. Don't get caught up in all these issues.
Yep.
Slow down. That's why I loved what you said there. It was like, just chill.
Yeah. Think about what you're doing.
Put that like on a big old picture, behind your desk.
Yep.
Say, just chill.
Yep. Yep. Amen. Well, I don't even remember where we left off on your story.
We barely even got started in the company at this point.
Yeah.
I don't even know we got it. Okay. I think I was still an employee at this point. So when I was 27th birthday,
Okay.
I get fired or I get laid
So this
off.
is 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, I was their guy. I was their top tag.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what internally was going on.
Were you still working for the same dude?
I actually went to one other plumbing company because I was doing service. I did drain cleaning for it was almost a year.
Mm-hmm.
And then this other company's like, hey, we can have you on new construction. I was like, sweet, I want to learn a new side because things were kind of getting stagnant.
Yeah.
That happens to employees, right? When you have them doing the same thing over and over and over again. It's like, hey, I want to see something different. So they're like, we'll pay you the same amount of money. Come over, do new construction. First day I go in to do new construction, their head new construction guy goes, yeah, no, we don't want them. And then they put me in their drain truck to do drains. Do the same thing I was doing at another company. I was like, I would have done that.
Yeah.
I mean, now you just make me look like a stupid person. Like I totally, I wasn't going to do that. Yep. So that was definitely shady. But I'm one of those loyal people. I'll just keep running out. So I worked there for 3 years. Mm-hmm. And then I unexpectedly, they let me go, 27. It was February 10 of 2020.
2020.
Yeah. So I go home and I talk to Sarah, and I was a pretty well-known tech. So I'm like, I can get a job anywhere in these other plumbing companies. And Sarah's like, no, you're not going to do that. You're going to go out on your own. You're going to do it. And so we go Vista print off the free 500 business cards.
Yep.
And we go in my minivan and the rinky dink thing. And I just start throwing. I mean, this is like a caravan minivan. Yeah. It's not like a work minivan.
Did you start with the name Mountaineer Plumbing?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
At least you did that right.
Yeah, I did do
that right. It was a good name. Yeah.
It was a good name.
Yeah.
Yep. And it just something about it, like, just instilled, like, I think everything comes down to character.
Mm-hmm.
a success in business and stuff really comes down to character. I don't think you can be really successful and just be a terrible person.
Yeah.
Because people read into that. I saw a study, they were saying like more people leave jobs because of bad managers or bad employers.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is like, if you don't have character, nobody's going to work for you.
Dude, that's one thing that like growing my plumbing company, it was like I had to become the person I needed to be in order to grow the company.
Yeah.
And I think business owners get bad raps.
They do.
There's got to be like successful business owners who have bad character, but I think for the most part, at least in my experience, every business owner that I've met that has been semi sort of successful, it's required them to become a good person.
Yes.
Because you're dealing with, especially in the trades, you're dealing with, like, we're a people-based business. We sell people. It's really what we do.
Yeah.
You can't be a total turd and sell people at a successful level.
No.
It doesn't work.
I think the only time that a business owner shows off bad character is when their funds are tight.
Yes.
And they're stressed out.
Yep.
And they act out and they make
Yep.
poor decisions.
Yep.
And they go after the wrong people.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and that's the only time that I've seen business owners do things wrong.
Yeah.
The other thing I've seen business owners do things wrong is when they get too much freedom. Then they become self-destructive because their identity was wrapped up. Like if you've been plumbing for 20 years and then you get out of the truck and you don't know what to do with yourself.
Yeah.
That's that's why when you get to that point, if you get to that point where you can have like some extra freedom, take a couple months, maybe go to, I hate to say it because guys are so prideful, but maybe get some counseling and work through some issues that you might have so that they don't, because when you get freedom, all your issues are going to blossom and be a lot louder.
Yep.
You know?
I can relate. I mean, I remember getting out of the truck and then like moving down here, and then my business was running without me and I was bored out of my mind. And like for me, I went and found something to do.
Yeah.
I couldn't just sit there and do nothing, or I would have been the unproductive, I don't know, loser.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would have done, but it probably wouldn't have been productive. That's for sure.
And that's why I love like our lives, looking at your life and my life specifically, because I'm 32 with a very young family. So I get this opportunity to like raise up my kids. We homeschool our kids. We get to go swimming and fishing and just learn all these life skills.
Yeah.
So excited like for my kids.
Yeah,
but it's like,
cool.
if my kids were older and grown up, I'm going to tell you what, I'm not sitting at home going fishing every day.
Yeah.
I'm running businesses.
Me too.
I'm impacting lives.
For me, when I got to that point where I was sitting at home with nothing to do, I had to really figure out what it is that I enjoy. Like I had to learn myself.
Yes.
I was like, I don't even know, like, I don't have a purpose. I didn't know what I like to do, what brings me joy. I had to figure that out. And it took me a couple of years to really figure myself out.
Yeah.
And then finally, like one day I'm like, hey, you know what? I think I got this thing figured out. Literally like in the last couple of months, I feel like I've really figured out who I am, what makes me tick, and what I enjoy. So it's probably took me 3 years just to figure that out.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
But now that I figured it out, I have I don't have these, I know exactly what I'm shooting for. That's awesome.
Yes.
It makes everything so much clearer.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the thing, and for like those listening, because a lot of people listening are probably in survival mode.
Probably, yes.
Right, and you learn to like things they don't like because you're trying to survive.
Yep.
Yeah, I love ramen noodles. I love baked beans.
Yep.
That's okay, and that's the thing. It's a part of life that we get to enjoy. It's part of the journey. If you didn't have those moments, you wouldn't enjoy the other moments.
Yep.
When you're able, let's say you have steak or whatever, and so don't like despair, like, man, what am I doing? It's like we've all been in those survival moments, and that was with Mountaineer. We were in survival.
Yeah.
I mean, right from the get-go, I get all these jobs lined up, right? I have a old 2000, it was like 2 or 3 F-250 diesel that hardly started, especially when it was cold, and I had this old trailer, and I thought I was going to do all these remodel jobs, so I bid out with all these contractors, and March of 2020 hits, and they shut down everything, and I'm deemed non-essential.
Yep.
I'm like, great. Here we go. And so then we end up
and
going.
You're in like, I mean, Michigan isn't it's fairly
It's
liberal.
blue.
Yeah.
That's next in New York and California.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it's probably third or fourth in line with them.
Yeah.
Washington,
So they probably
state of
shut down
Washington.
hard, huh?
They did.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Not like down here in Florida or in
So
Alaska.
how do you become essential when you're not? You do service.
Yep.
That's essential. You can't stop me now.
Yep.
So you buy whatever equipment you can afford, and then we just started doing service. And that and it's funny because in my plumbing career, because I'm not a plumber anymore, and so during my plumbing career, I was a plumber maybe a total of 8-9 years, and I always wanted to get a new construction. I never got into it.
Dang it.
Service always brought me back. Service because plumbers we need service guys because that's actually where the money is.
Yeah.
That's where companies make money and they're able to stay alive.
Yep.
And the new construction is busy work and it's flexing work. You can be like, yeah, I have 40 plumbers. They're all on that project there. And it's like, great for you.
Making 2% net profit.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And
I make $1 million a year, but I got to have $99 million of overhead to get there.
Yes.
That sounds terrible to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're better off. And that's the thing. It's like, don't always look at the other guy and be like, man, this guy's, he's really killing it. Look at all the trucks he has. Look at all the work he has. It's like, you don't know his numbers and he's not ever going to tell you.
Even revenue numbers. It's like, so what?
Yeah.
We should be looking at profit.
That's
the whole point of the business.
That's the whole point.
I wish people would get thrown around revenue numbers.
Yeah.
And I do it too, because that's what everybody expects to hear.
Yeah.
But, like I remember telling people how much net profit we were making, and they imagine this like crazy large business. I'm like, you should come check it out. It's literally a hole in the wall office with one garage door and 7 vans running around.
Yep.
And it's incredibly simple. You would be very bored if you came to sit at my office for a day.
It's the best thing ever.
Yeah, people would want to come do like a shop tour. And
I get that.
You can come, but you're not going to see anything.
Yeah.
There's nothing to see. There's a lady answering the phone.
Yeah.
There's a GM bored out of his mind sitting behind his desk, and the technicians are all out doing stuff. That's it.
My one of my things is if I'm doing something right as a business owner, my employees should come to me and say, "Hey, Matt, I want to do more.
Yeah.
I want to do more."
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, perfect. Then we have a great relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It's when I'm piling all this stuff on my employees, what am I doing? I'm stressing them out. That's straining our relationship. And it's only a ticking time bomb till they're gone.
Yep.
And so it's like, I want my employees to be relaxed.
Yep.
I want them to just chill.
Yep.
And we as business owners, we have this tendency in our personalities to always want to optimize everything to its fullest potential.
We do.
And full optimization is a unicorn you'll never catch.
You won't.
It's a great thing to shoot for.
I just watched a Hormozy video where the whole thing was, he said, this year, I finally figured out that there's a cost to optimization.
Yeah.
There's a cost to change, and he quantified it. And so he said he could go back and look at data and say, every change I make, there's a 20% dip in production.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
And so we'd have these, and I do this too. I have a giant list of all these things, these grand ideas, these great things that are going to make this thing better. And they might only have like a 1% or 2% lift. And you're going to go implement that and see a 20% dip in production. And so it forces you, if you understand that, to go, okay, what are the things I can focus on that have that are going to have greater return than 20%? Those are the things I need to go work on.
Yes.
It'll narrow your list down to like a couple things.
Handful of things. Yeah. And then stay with those things.
And then just be okay with mediocre or I used to tell that to my general manager all the time. I'd be like, all we need is mediocre.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, that's disgusting. Because he's a winner. He wants to win. And I'd be like, we only need mediocre. Look, they only need to hit this revenue. Yeah. That's it. I don't need everybody to hit 1 million.
What? You don't need to max out every single guy?
No.
Max out every moment of your life? I mean, we like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds nice.
It does sound cool.
But does it put money in my bank?
No.
You see, because we didn't have a lot of money. We never had a lot of money, ever. Mm-hmm. And well, until now, right? Yeah. So every decision we made was, what's going to put money in the bank today?
Yeah.
And that's why, like, as you would rub shoulders with these other business owners and they're making these decisions, I'm like, they're not thinking about what's making money today. They're thinking, what makes me look better among my peers that don't even care about me
Yeah.
at the end of the day. Because they're from different states. I mean, it's nice talking. Like I love I'm thankful for like the relationship we have. And there's others that we've become really good friends and acquaintances. But there's other business owners that I rub shoulders with, and they don't think about me ever.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't quite think about them either. I just see them on Facebook post their flex, and I'm like, oh, dude, I'm happy for you. I was going to say that when you talk about winning, because I think we have the same thing. It's like being very competitive people who always want to win. I always want to win, but I'm always like, I found myself to be able to be proud of when someone else wins too.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm not so much tied up into myself winning that when someone else wins, I'm like, oh, this is disgusting.
No, I'm not that way either. I love seeing other people win. It's probably I think like to me, like when I was trying to figure out what I enjoy, like what makes me happy in life is when I looked back on my business, when I built it in a way where other people could win with me, that's what brought me the most joy.
Yes.
It was like, so I love building things. I always have. Like when I look back on my childhood, I was building skateboard ramps, tree houses, taking apart alarm clocks, tinkering with my bikes. I just love like creating. I'm like a creator at heart. Yeah. And so when I get into business and I can create, that like it scratches my back, right? I love it. And I love just you keep building. And then when I built Prospector and I saw all these other people be successful because of what I built, that was like, man, this is the coolest thing ever.
Fills your cup.
It does. Yeah, it's like the greatest thing.
It is.
I got like general managers making crazy amounts of money. He called me one day and he goes, I remember he called me and he goes, dude, I have $100K in the bank account. And I was like, dude, that's so cool. He goes, I never thought I would have been here.
No.
Yeah. Super cool. Had guys buying houses, putting money, like we would learn their goals and some guys would want 20K away in their bank and it'd say, let's get you there.
Yeah. And
we'd have them there in like 6 months.
Yeah.
And it was the coolest thing ever. It was rad.
That's how you be in the 9%.
That's what scratches my itch right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. I love it. And that's, same heartbeat, right?
Yeah. So you're driving around in your truck.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You went from all these remodels to now you're doing service work. Are you freaking out? Like, what's going through your head?
Oh yeah.
Like you come home and Sarah's like, you're starting a business.
Oh,
Are you like, you're crazy? Or are you like, yeah, let's do it?
The most influential person in my life has always been Sarah. And she's always kept me like on the straight and narrow.
Yeah.
And because, we started to learn like our faith grew just because we learned to live and die by the phones. And so it's like, any work that came in today, we're going to do it. We're going to give it everything we got. And then that's it. And we didn't know what was going to come tomorrow. And then the work would come in tomorrow.
Yeah.
And some days not as much work would come in, but we'd still be fed.
Yep.
And so we've learned that that's what the majority of the things that we own, that's how it is. It's tomorrow it could all be gone. Likely not really, because I've been doing this now so long. I know I'm always going to be fed tomorrow.
Yeah.
I know I'm always going to be fed. I don't have to worry. And so you kind of learn this as you go through, because I'd have sleepless Saturdays, sleepless Sundays, and you're like, what's going to go on? But we always stayed busy. And we had to, it went from being just me to hiring a couple of my friends. Man, it was such a wild west at the beginning. Like when we were slow, I remember like buying beers and having the guys drink in my driveway as we were waiting for jobs to come in, because I thought I was being cool, young hip owner. That wasn't cool though. That was a mistake. And and you learn, and that's the thing with business, is you have to be okay with having a Wild West season and just learning to forgive yourself for all the mistakes you're going to make, because you're going to make a lot of them.
That's what makes you who you are.
And it is every day. And every day I still make mistakes, and I'm okay with making mistakes. And that's what gives me freedom to express myself in what I love to do, in whatever that doing is for that particular day.
Yeah.
I might be trying a new fishing knot, and then I get this beautiful big fish that you're going to celebrate, and the knot fails.
Yep.
And it's like, oh man, should I use that one? Or maybe I got to learn to tie that one better. But that's the only way you get better at doing things. And it's the only way you get better in business. It's like, It's okay to make mistakes.
Yep.
You're going to be just fine. Maybe you hired too many guys.
Yep.
I've had somebody do that before.
Yep.
They hired too many guys. And I was like, man, I think you hired a little bit too many. I think you need to get rid of some. Oh,
Yeah.
no, they're great guys. And you hold on to those guys, and now you don't have the money, but they're great guys. And it's like, by you putting your business in that type of situation for an extended period of time, what you're actually doing is costing everybody's job.
You are.
And that's the same thing like when tech becomes a liability. I remember I had a guy, he didn't put a safety pin in the trailer hitch. And I've hooked up 1,000 trailers because of landscape world. Yep. So we take it very seriously. I take it very seriously because that's how I was raised. And so I saw him drive off. I call him up. I said, you better stop that truck right now. I said, come back here. I said, why didn't you put that pin in? Oh, I just think it's an extra safety thing. I said, that extra safety thing keeps our business safe and our jobs safe.
Yep.
And obviously that's not important to you.
Yep.
So what do I have to do as an owner? He goes, I don't know. I said, I gotta let you go.
Yeah.
Because that tech, he was young, he was learning. It was a really good lesson for him, and it set the tone right for everybody else in my company.
Yep.
And I was like, we're doing it right here. We're not just doing whatever we want. We don't care if it's extra safe or whatever. It's like, we're doing it right.
Yeah.
If you're not willing to do it right, get off my team because we're the best team and we're gonna be the best. And those guys became the best.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's one thing that I didn't do so well in is just, and I didn't have like safety mistakes like that, but we let some dickheads stay in our business far too long.
Yeah.
And it really, they were the most productive.
Yeah. Oh, they are. They always are.
They brought in the most revenue.
Mm-hmm.
But what I didn't understand is how much they hurt everybody else's revenue.
Everybody. Yep.
And honestly kept people from even coming to work for me.
I get that. I worked under a dickhead.
And you hated it.
I hated it. And that's why when I sat down in interviews, I literally told people, I said, if you got a pride issue and you think you're just the cat's meow,
yep,
you don't belong here.
Dude, every interview that I have now, I tell them, yeah, I'll put up with a lot, but if you're a dickhead, you're gone.
Yeah.
I am not putting up with that.
No, it's not good for anybody.
I got to work here. If I don't want to work with you, then neither does anybody else.
Yeah. You want to hear something really funny? Is that guy that I worked under who was a dickhead? Mm-hmm. After I had Mountaineer for a couple of years, he applied.
Did he?
Yeah.
Did you bring him in for an interview?
No, I wasn't going to waste my time.
You didn't want to tell him? Nah.
No, he already knew.
Yeah.
He already knew. I mean, you have to be pretty desperate at that point.
Yeah.
It's like guys like that, they're a conniving type anyways.
They are.
They're trying to one up you somehow, beat the system.
Yep.
Guys always want to beat the system. I was an employee. I wanted to beat the system.
Yeah.
I wanted to optimize my time, make the most money and whatever. And
yeah.
So you want to create, and that's the thing, it's like as you're creating your business and your system and whatever, like even like pay, like I tried different pay structures and I found the best pay structure for my guys was like hourly. Mm-hmm. Eventually, like I like that like you teach hourly plus commission, a smaller commission based off of the revenue once they get past a certain point.
Yep.
I love that.
Yeah, me too.
I wish I had that. It would have helped make even more money.
Yep.
And would kept the guys incentive there. Because when I went full like commission or like a commission type pay, it was too complicated for the guys. They didn't understand it. It builds mistrust.
Yep.
I don't even care if it's a simplified commission structure. It just doesn't. It's hard to do.
And they want to be confident that they're going to have a paycheck.
Yeah.
Most of those guys, like good, in my experience, the really good guys, they got families to feed.
Yeah.
That's why they're so reliable.
Yeah.
And they show up every day. And they don't want to come to work and like rely on you to bring in calls for them to get a paycheck on Friday. Mm-hmm. They don't like that. No. So I've watched a bunch of companies pay piece rate or commission and then they slow down and then all their guys quit.
Yep.
And they're literally like 2 weeks away from getting busy again. And it's like, man, I don't want to do that.
You want to know when I hired my best guys?
When?
In my slowest seasons.
Oh yeah, totally.
I always knew in February.
They're looking for work.
Yep. February and March. All the guys up north in the winter. If it's a mild winter, it's going to be slow. Mm-hmm. And really good guys need money.
Yep.
And so I was very smart and I teach people this, is you always stock away a certain percentage of money every single week throughout the year into a savings account that you're not going to touch. So that when that slow season comes for everybody in your area, because everyone goes through it. I don't care how big or They are. Everyone goes through, because it's and that's all based off of percentages, right? Like if you have 50 guys, you need a lot of jobs.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of jobs to, or not a lot of jobs to a 50 truck company versus a 5 truck company. It's all relative.
Right.
And so it's like, you just want to be prepared that you have the extra finances where you can just pay guys to sit around that table all day.
Yep.
And not show that you're scared.
Yep.
We would always go backwards. It was like 60,000 in February, backwards.
Yep.
As a smaller company.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't even touch me because I saved up for it.
Yep.
I wasn't. And there's other things. People get so carried away in December. This is what happens. So many companies in December. They go, oh man, I gotta spend this much money to offset this much taxes.
Oh gosh. Yep.
And they'll buy. And I made that mistake one year.
Yep.
Because I was like, oh, I'm gonna offset my taxes, so I'm gonna take out my nest fund and I'm gonna buy these trucks so I don't have to pay taxes. And now I get in the slow season and I don't have any money because I just spent it.
Yep.
And that's what all these 91% of other companies are doing. They all do that. So don't do that. Don't do what they're doing.
That's them listening to their accountant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I freaking hate accountants.
I do
I think
too.
I told you this the other day, but I can't stand them. I've not found a single accountant that has any common sense whatsoever.
They don't get it because it's all percentages.
Yeah.
Well, percentages are relative.
Yes.
Based off of the amounts.
Yep. Yes, they are.
And that's why I can't. Yeah. I have not met an accountant that understands business. And why would I? Because I look at, so when you're in different stages of business, it's almost like different sports teams, right? Like your first stage is like track. It's all you, all your talent, all whatever. The next stage you go into, you got a smaller team. It's like a basketball team, we could say. Mm-hmm. A track playbook and if they have playbooks, and a basketball playbook are completely different.
Yeah.
A basketball playbook and a football team's playbook is completely different.
Yep.
And people, what they try to do is they try to skip ahead and they're like, hey, I have a basketball team, but I see there's a baseball team up there that's making a ton of money. I want their playbook.
Yeah.
It's not going to work for you.
No.
And that's the same thing with these, you go accountants, they give you information. They're just giving you relative information that's like guideline, like, oh, just want to offset your taxes. You might have started out with nothing though.
Yep.
So to offset taxes, what do you need? You need a lot more of money
Yep.
to offset those taxes. You don't have that
Nope.
yet.
Yep.
So don't do it. Don't play that game. If you were a big private equity company, do it.
Yeah.
You need to offset it. You're moving a lot of money. You have the deep pockets to do that.
Yep.
Offsetting taxes is a rich person's game.
Yep.
That if you don't have the deep pockets, don't play that game. You're not going to win. Actually, what that's going to do, it's very detrimental. And it's going to hold you in the position that you already are in. And you're going to be going in this crazy cycle wondering, why can't I get out? Why don't I have any extra money?
With no cash flow.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't play that game. Know your game. Where are you at?
Yep.
And then if you can figure out where you're at, find somebody who's really close to where you are. And then, hey, I'm going to beat that guy.
Yep.
I'm not going to go. Why would I look at a $150 million plumbing company
Yeah.
if I'm running 4 trucks?
No, I mean,
It makes no sense.
it makes 0 sense.
Oh, look they have a whole in-house CSR team, and they have a whole dispatch and office managers and all that. It's like, you don't want that.
No.
I can guarantee you.
You can't afford it.
Yeah, you can't afford it. And most people don't have the personality for it either.
Right.
And so it's like, where's your personality fit
Yep.
in this grand scheme of things where you can live the most fulfilling life for you?
Yep.
And it's different for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
That's why it's like, one thing I used to be a big proponent of was like, get out of the truck, get out of the truck, get out of the truck. Well, not all guys need to be out of the truck.
Not all guys want to get out of the truck.
Yeah. And you can find a lot of fulfillment being in the truck and being the best in the truck. And then maybe you need help with the office side of things.
Here's the crazy part. You can make a ton of money as a one truck chuck.
You can make the most profitable percentage of
Yes.
money in a one truck truck.
Yes, you can.
You can.
And you can, I mean, when I was one truck chucking it, I one truck chucked it for like 7 or 8 months when I first started Prospector. It was the third time I started it. So I can't really say first, but when I started it for the third time, it was like 6 or 8 months. And I went back and looked at the revenue that I did. It was unreal. I did like $780,000 in revenue.
You know why Sarah was always okay with us growing and stretching ourselves out, sticking our necks out so far?
Why?
Because she always knew I could go back in the truck.
Oh, yeah.
I was never too proud.
It's like ultimate safety net.
It is the
To this day, I still think that.
Yeah.
Like, what's the worst that could happen?
There was never a point when I owned Mountaineer that I didn't have a fully stocked truck sitting in my personal driveway that any moment in time I would jump in that truck and I loved it. too.
Mm-hmm.
I thrive in a truck. There's nothing that brings me more satisfaction in this life that I've found yet than being in a truck, popping drains,
Yep.
and fixing plumbing issues.
So when your kids are older, you're just going to jump back in the truck?
Probably not.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be appropriate.
Yeah.
I do get tempted with it a lot though.
Do you?
Oh yeah. Because I'm like, man, I could make $5,000 today. Just jump in the truck, boom, make $5,000, be done. But it's like, that to me is going back to where I came from.
Yeah.
Whereas I think there's a much brighter and better journey ahead of me.
Yep.
And I'm willing to grow with that and change myself with it.
That's a cool thing for your kids to see as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you just were to,
Go back.
I mean, maybe not even go back, but just kind of be happy with where you're at.
Yeah.
And then your kids don't get to see dad continuing to push forward and grow and do new things and take on challenges. And then they're going to be okay with chilling out, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
I think it's a cool thing for that's a cool gift for dads to be able to give their kids. And then all the knowledge that you get during that time, you can pass on to your kids. Like my son, you met him, he's miles ahead of me.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not where I am now, but he's 22 compared to where I was at 22. I was still cashing my check on Friday and spending all my money before Monday and stocking my fridge full of beer and living on ramen, you know?
Yes.
It's not the same at all. It's totally different. It's cool.
It's so cool.
Yeah. So you're like, you started your business. It's called Mountaineer.
Come out here. We're doing residential service.
Doing residential service.
Hiring friends. That was kind of a mistake because it strained our relationships because I was putting too much work on them.
Yeah.
You see?
And why was that? Like, was it because you weren't charging enough?
Yes. Yep. Wasn't charging enough. Didn't have like a price book put together. Didn't have like processes. Everything was really complex because it was the wild, wild west.
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, just figure it out. Whatever you think will make us money.
Yeah.
And it's like, because I don't even know how to make money at that point.
Right.
They clearly didn't know how to make money because they always underbidded themselves. So we're always going backwards on everything.
Yeah.
And then
did you have like a standard hourly rate? Or because I know a lot of guys, they're like, well, I know what some of these other shops charge, so I charge a little less. Or,
I charge a little more. At least I went that way, right? I was like, all right, they're charging this per hour. I'm gonna double that, charge a little more, and but we were still way off. And it was the worst, honestly. Like just trying to get your momentum built in a company while starting off is just so ugly.
That's the hardest part.
Yeah, and that's why I'm like a really big proponent of like hiring coaching or some mentorship in some capacity. Where for a company that actually knows where you're at.
Yep.
Not for a company that's like doing these other things because they're gonna get you so confused.
Yep.
And it's better to have it's better. Like I only had a singular coach. Mm-hmm. I wasn't in a billion different groups. Mm-hmm. I knew of the other groups. I knew of these other people teaching and stuff like that, but I was very singular in my approach. And so I didn't have the analysis paralysis, as they would say. You know, oh man, I can do this and this and this. Because it's just like with clothes. Yep. You have 1,000 pairs of pants. You're never going to put a pair of pants on because you're like, oh, these are white, these are blue, these are denim, these are cloth, these are whatever. What am I going to wear? Easter Sunday, I don't know. You know?
Yep.
And so I was like, just calm down, find somebody who's reputable, and then kind of let them take you along the journey.
Yep.
And they might only take you so far, and that's okay too.
Yeah, totally.
It's like just to get through like figuring out how to build my price book. What should a price book look like? How to get my pricing correctly? Yep. You know, I get into like the psychology of numbers because I think there's a lot we can optimize profitability with the psychology of numbers of understanding what does the customer respond to better than other numbers.
Yep.
And because it's so hard to get profit because profit's always the last thing after everything's taken away, and it's the easiest to spend. Like because we forget other things are trying to like rip away our profit. So you kind of like learn that as you're going through and you're broke. And you know, I remember we had a contractor that like owed us like $16,000 right at the beginning. We racked it up right away. And Sarah was pregnant with the twins at the time, and she had to chase them down like every single day. And then they still wouldn't pay. Like the check would be here, 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 and she would just chase them down. And we'd send our guys after him. Eventually, we got the money, and then he actually ended up going to jail like 2 years later for not paying people, because that was our experience with contractors. They would always like rip us off.
That was mine too.
Always.
I'm
every
either
time.
too expensive or if I do get the job, I don't get paid.
Which always made me mad because they always marked it up 10% so they can make their commission.
Yep.
But I can't make a 10% profit on you.
Nope.
You know, it's like, it's just weird. But so we made all those mistakes the first year. We were in like this sticks community, like out in the sticks.
Yeah.
Split between 2 different cities. So my zone coverage when we were, very first off starting, we were all across West Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Like we served, there's 3 hours between distances.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. Like I was just trying to feel the market and get some kind of numbers. So I was able, as the year would go by, because we were moving so fast, I could refine numbers and be like, okay, we're just going to focus on these zip codes in this area.
Yep.
And then we ended up buying a shop in that area, and that was super excited. Sarah signed. This is how cool Sarah is. She signed the lease papers 2 hours after having the twins.
Nice.
In the hospital.
Nice.
Because there were only 3 buildings in West Michigan. At that time, it was like 2021 now, early 2021, February. And she was like, we were three options. And they're like, yep, you were approved. You can get this building. And it was way more than what we needed, space-wise. Because the leasing agent wanted us to get like 1,200 square foot or like 15. And we got like 3,006 square feet.
Yeah.
It was perfect. It was perfect size. I ended up being perfect. But we signed on it. She signed on it in the hospital. And then we got sushi afterwards.
Nice.
Huge plate of sushi. It's good memories. All those things are great memories. All these conflicts that you go through building your business will be the best memories of your life.
Do you wish she took the time to enjoy it more?
Yeah.
Rather than being...
we do pretty, yes. Actually, I do. I will say yes. Because I would say we did pretty good. We celebrated things, but we were moving so rapid and so fast because there was such a spike there in what people had available because there was those, the money was being given out for the government.
Yep.
And we really optimized that way better than what I ever even realized until after the fact, right?
Do you feel like there was a little bit of luck involved there?
There's always luck in business.
Yeah.
There's always, you can have everything right, everything perfect. You might even be the perfect candidate.
Yep.
And things aren't just working out, and they're not working out, and they're not working out. It's like, what's going on here? And you'll hear so many podcasts of people talking like that. Like they're out in the storm of life, and you're just getting beat, and you're just ready to give up.
Yep.
Ship's sinking. You can barely keep it up, and then one day the sun comes out.
Yep.
And everything just starts to work. Now, I think there's ways to know like what tools will do that because I was one thing that I did that was very different than a lot of people is I was very focused on my community, being a part of my community.
Yep.
And like even within 2 years of going Mountaineer, I'm on the local news station
I remember seeing
as
that.
West Michigan's premier plumbing company.
Yeah.
It's like I just started.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, Sarah, why am I here? There are way better plumbers.
How did you get there? Because I remember like from the outside looking in, watching you do this, it just looked like
a fireball.
Well, it did, which was cool,
crazy.
but it was like you were willing to do things that other people were not willing to do. I remember like your hot air balloons.
Those are so cool.
And I remember if I remember right, it was like 10 grand.
Yes.
To get on the hot air balloons.
Yeah.
And 10 grand for a new company
is a lot.
Yeah. And my guess would be that you didn't just have that 10 grand just sitting there ready to spend.
Well, it could have went other places for sure.
You probably saw the opportunity and was like, I can't afford to not take this opportunity.
Yeah.
And said yes. And then figured out the 10 grand would be my guess.
Well, our secret ingredient, people hear me talk about like being involved in the community and then they do it totally wrong.
Right.
There's a right way to do it.
Just tell me the right way to do it.
The right way to do it is always be the premier sponsor. Okay. Be the big guy.
Yep.
We did it with like a radio show. We got the casinos mad at us because we took their slot.
Oh, dang.
Because we did this sweet free beer and hot wings radio show. We were the main sponsor of one of their events. When the people there going around looking for money for this air balloon show, it's the first annual one. Mm-hmm. And I just liked the people when I talked to them. I said, you know what? I want to be the first. And I wanted to continue that, right? Mm-hmm. And so you're always up in front. You don't share space. Like when we did the little leagues, I'm not going to be one of the extra banners along the fence with the 50 other companies nobody looks at.
Right.
I want to be on the back of the ref shirts.
Yeah.
I want to be at the scoreboard. I want this to be Mountaineer. This is the Mountaineer Stadium.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do.
Yep.
If you want to be a part of the community. And people are like, they just do the little, oh, you get these little whatever things. It's like, you just wasted $500.
Yeah.
Oh, we're in these magazines. All right, where's the magazine go? Did anyone gonna look at, like, when we did the magazines, number one is a very cheap option. And what I did is I made sure I was a contributing author. So it said plumbing expert Matt Dunley on the very front page. And then Sarah and I even got the privilege to be on the front cover of that magazine. And it told our story at Mountaineer. So we got a whole magazine that was just about us.
And this is like
a local community in the most affluent area where my business was.
Yeah.
You got to tell our story to our customers and warm them up.
Yeah.
That's how you do it right.
Yep.
You're not just putting your little business card in the corner of the magazine. You get a third page or a quarter page or whatever.
Yep.
You're throwing money away at that point.
Yep.
You know, we took our coffee mugs. When we designed the coffee mugs, we made that a thing. We put it in our TV commercials right at the end. And then we started to give free gifts. I didn't even care if they bought from me. Like, as long as my technicians showed up at the house, we're giving them one of our famous Mountaineer coffee mugs. And we bought a ton of them. We had a ton of fun with it.
Yeah.
I love giving people things.
Yep.
And that's what you got to be. You got to live. And if someone's like watching this, you got to live like this, hands open.
Yep.
If you own a business, you have to have hands open, because as soon as you go like this and you're trying to, cut corners and save money and do this and that, you have just stagnated yourself. Yep. And eventually your pond will die.
Yep.
Because there's no life in it.
Yep.
Business is supposed to be this great asset of this life-giving machine.
Yep.
And too many people go in business and all they care about is money.
Yep.
When we would talk to our guys on Monday morning, our meetings, which I bookended my weeks, Mondays and Fridays, because I wanted to bring the energy on Monday morning and I wanted to revamp the energy on Friday.
Yep.
That was my job. I'm the energy man. And so I would tell them, I said, you got to remember, these people, this is a chaotic situation. And number two, they're the hero of their own story. And now the hero's stuck.
Yep.
Frodo Baggins can't make it up the mountain. So Samwise comes in and carries them, and it's this emotional experience because we all love Sam. You as the plumbing business owner are Samwise. You're coming in, you're saving the day, you're getting them up to the mountain so they can win in their life, their own life. And so I tell my guys, you're coming in because you're the lighthouse. You're sharing hope, you're showing the way. So come in with a little energy. I hate when someone comes in and they don't even act like they want to do the job.
Oh, yeah.
You want to get fired? Act like you don't want to be here.
Yeah.
Because I do.
Yep.
This means something to me.
Yep.
This is a part of my life. And so as an owner, I give off the energy. I don't expect my guys to come in and be like, yay, this could be a great day.
No, that doesn't work.
No, you bring the energy. And they have to look at you and say, Matt's a nut. That's why he owns the business, because he has all the energy.
Yep.
Because he's a nut. He can't handle himself.
Yep.
And if you could do that, stop trying to be the cool guy. Stop trying to be the Harley rider who wears the glasses, who barely says anything and doesn't know how to communicate.
Yep.
Nobody wants that. Unless you're trying to sell jeans.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, put yourself out there, because your guys put themselves out there every single time they knock on a door. They're scared of rejection. We all are.
Yep.
Imagine that. So I want to be encouraging to my guys and let them know, like, you're coming in, you're a co-star. But don't put yourself in that hero role. Let the customer be the hero. Let them make the decision. And that's why, like, when you make your pricing, I feel like this horse has been beat dead. It's like, if you're not doing good, better, best options, I don't even know why you're in the game.
Dude.
I don't even know why you're here. Like, why don't just close your doors, work for somebody else, be a great manager.
You can't make money.
You won't.
It's impossible.
And it's unfair to the customer.
Well, it's bad customer service. That's for sure. Yes. Yep.
Oh, hey, you can only buy this Corvette.
So I used to play a game with my technicians called Yes, No.
Yeah.
And I took 1-inch pieces of foam, cut them down to the size of a piece of paper, and I glued yes on one side and no on the other side. And I would hand them out. I'd say, we're going to play a game of yes or no. And I would pre-think my questions the night before. And the rule was they couldn't talk. They had to answer yes or no. And I would walk them through, like, my favorite one was walking them through an iPhone story. I'd have somebody pull out their iPhone and I'd ask them before that, I'd say, is it wrong to sell somebody something they don't need? And then I'll be like, yes. So then I'd say, hey, Nick, I knew Nick had an iPhone. I'd say, pull out your phone. And he'd pull out his phone. I'd say, Nick's got a nice iPhone, doesn't he? And then yes. And I'd be like, all right. So did Nick need that iPhone? And they're like, no. And I'm like, okay. So then did Apple rip Nick off selling him that iPhone? And they're like, crap.
Yeah.
No. And I'm like, okay. So is it wrong to sell somebody something they don't need? Now it's a big no. It's not wrong.
Yeah.
It's wrong to sell somebody something they don't want.
Yes.
But at the same side, it's also wrong to to only offer them one option.
Yeah.
To not let them decide how they spend their money. It should be the customer's decision. It's your job to present them all the possible scenarios and say, how would you like to spend your money? What would you like to get done today?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be the one to tell you how to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's the biggest one? This is that people miss on is when, like, I always think about like a drain assembly. People replace like a drain assembly, or they'll replace the shower valve and the trim kit. You do realize, like, once you replace one of those, the other one looks really bad.
Really bad. Yeah.
So why aren't we following that up?
Yeah. Or toilets.
Yeah.
Why? If you go to repair any toilet,
Yeah.
you should be asking the customer if they want to do this to all of their toilets.
Because they do.
They do. Especially if they have an old toilet and you determine they want a new one. Well, guess what? I can replace 4 toilets way cheaper per toilet than I can replace 1 toilet.
Yes.
So by replacing them all today, I can get you a little bit of a discount.
Yeah.
And you get all new toilets.
Yes.
Now you don't have to have this crappy one sitting over there and one nice one over here.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that got me is like soft close lids. I hate toilet seats that slam.
Me too.
It drives me absolutely insane. I would go to customers' houses and I would open the lid and I would go slam. And I said, does this drive you nuts? And then it drives them, all of them nuts.
Well, yeah, it's a dinner. But it's like, hey, I just used the potty.
All of them. I'm like, did you know that there's toilet seats that don't do slam?
Yeah.
And they'd be like, there is? I say, yeah. You want me to show you what they cost? I got some on my truck.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh yeah.
Definitely.
And then it's like, well, did you know they make toilets that are taller too? So it's not so hard to sit on. Mm-hmm. I personally like the shorter toilets.
It's more natural.
It is more natural.
Then you don't need the squatty potty.
Don't need the squatty potty.
So funny.
I have a squatty. So my wife's really short. You know that.
Yeah.
So we got short toilets and a squatty potty.
Yeah.
I can't use it.
That's great.
I'll be like curled up in a little ball.
That'd be funny.
Yeah.
Oh, whatever.
Anyway, I totally agree with you. 100%.
Yeah.
If you're not giving them some sort of options, you're
Shouldn't be in the game.
no.
Honestly, like I'm at that point now. Is if you don't, like, you can be a great manager somewhere, and that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. It's called entrepreneur.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with being 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's the thing. That's why I don't like listening. Well, when I do listen to some things, and they're always just pushing like, you gotta be an entrepreneur. You gotta do this. You gotta do this. It's like not everyone has the personality for that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Do you think there's people who should just
100%
not be in business?
Majority of people should. They would have a much better life, and they would be well off to do that.
Yeah.
Because the stress that comes with owning the business and like the faith that you need is it's an incredible weight. And it's like, look at your life. You get one life.
Yep.
And honestly, the entrepreneur is a great position.
It totally is.
A lot of times, the number 2, number 3 make more than the owner in a lot of cases.
Yep.
And I just don't know why people don't talk about it. Mm-hmm. And it's like, we chase, we're always being pushed to chase titles, to chase prestige, and it's like, at the end of the day, just sit down and think, chill for 20 minutes and think what actually matters.
Yeah.
Does it matter that I own a business that's moving 10 million, but me personally, I'm only taking home 100,000?
Nope.
Barely. And like, what are you doing? And once you can have that realization moment, then you can have a real conversation with yourself and say, okay, do I want to continue on the trajectory I'm headed?
Yep.
Or do I want to maybe change my business up where I can make more money and maybe do things a little bit more intelligently, become part of the 9%?
Yep.
Or do I want to work for somebody and enjoy time with my family and be able to turn it off?
Yeah.
What a gift that is to turn it off. Some people,
yeah.
I can't.
I can't.
I'm always thinking.
I can't turn it off, but I was like that when I worked for somebody.
Me too.
I thought about it nonstop.
I made my own price books when I was working for other people just because I don't know. I just couldn't do it. I was like, Sarah, I could get this and this and this. Sarah's the thing is like with Sarah, she's the same way as me. Is she's always writing the numbers. When I was a plumber, she would keep track of my numbers and how much I'd make for the company. So when I'd go in for my yearly interview, I was the only guy going in with a folder, and I'll open up my folder, and they're like sitting there like,
Who's this guy?
Who is this guy?
Yeah.
He's young. He has a folder. I've never seen anyone do this before. And they're like, okay, we're going to give you $1 raise. I said, oh, that's good for you. I don't think $1 is an appropriate raise for what I actually make for the company.
Yeah.
Sorry. This is what I make the company. These are all the callbacks I go on. I'm the security net for the company. I think I need to be paid accordingly.
Yep.
And they respected that.
Oh, yeah.
And I would get massive raises.
Yeah.
You know, now that made other people jealous. And then now you can see why I got laid off at a certain point in time.
Is that what happened?
Yeah. Because it was there was a, the CFO was like, what's going on here? Like Matt's pretty much running the show and I've been running the show.
Yeah.
So there's an ultimatum that was given to the owner.
Gotcha.
Me or him.
Gotcha. Interesting.
Well, I don't, and that's why I'm never mad at the owner. I'm never mad at the other guy. Like I get it. You were put in a situation that was tough, and you had bad character in that decision.
Yeah.
And you're not perfect, just like everybody else in the world. Surprise.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna be bitter towards anybody
Yeah.
for doing stuff like that because I get it.
Yeah.
I apologize to my kids every day. Did I say that?
Well, that's, I mean, we kind of talked about that. We had dinner last night, and you and your wife, you own Plumline, great after hours phone answering service.
The best.
But I think I asked you guys, do people hold you to unrealistic standards? And because I see it on my end all the time, people complaining about marketing companies and phone answering services. And I'm like, guys, at the end of the day, you're dealing with a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Like, is your business perfect? No. Does your business make mistakes? Yes. So when you're dealing with these other businesses, just know they're going to make mistakes. It's okay. It's how they respond to the mistakes that matter.
Exactly.
If you can have a way to get a hold of them and they'll listen to you and fix their mistakes, then you literally can't ask for anything better.
I would say, like, when Plumline makes a mistake, which is typically when we have to hire more people because we bring on more clients, right? And we're always watching that capacity very closely. And so we do that. We always know there's going to be a 2-week period where we get some emails.
Yep.
And guess what? We probably 99.9% of the time we already know about. We've already dealt with it. We've already taken care of it. Either someone's getting training and they're given a second opportunity, or they've already had the second opportunity and they ruined it and they're fired.
Yep.
Because that's business.
Yeah.
We adjust super quick.
Yeah.
Luckily for us is like all our staff is in America, in-house.
Yeah.
We know them, we speak to them. It's not like these other companies that are they're outsourcing.
Yeah.
And they can't talk to their people and be like, hey, what did you do there? Or they're using AI, which is a whole nother giant topic. Because I like AI for certain things. I think on the customer service side, I would not be using it.
I'm excited for the day that everybody switches to AI.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be the guy that doesn't.
Right. Me too.
And I'm going to have humans answer my phone, and I'm going to market the piss out of that.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, hey, we have humans that answer the phone.
Yeah.
Call us.
We have
want to talk to a human?
Real people in this country.
Yeah.
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 That's the thing is, you want to give your first customer experience that?
Yeah, to AI.
Yeah. I mean, come on. Tell me don't care about them any other way.
Yeah. So that's something I never understood, like especially in like the wash industry. So I started Dude Wash, and people think I'm crazy for driving to the customer's house to give them an estimate. They think it's absolutely wild. They're like, why don't you just estimate over the phone? I'm like, dude, it cost me $100 to get that phone call.
Yes.
I am not going to try to build value over the phone.
No.
I'm going to show up at that customer's house. I'm going to make sure they know exactly how good I look and how professional we are. I'm going to make sure that we can communicate to them face to face, because I can't afford to just throw those away.
No.
It's silliness.
You want to know something I did with my guys that was different? Was they weren't allowed to give discounts, right?
Yeah.
Because guess what? When I let my technicians, they're okay throwing away jobs.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not okay.
No.
Because I feel the pain.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I don't mind if I have to take the phone. I have to talk to the customer.
Yep.
I don't care if I have to show up. You have to have that kind of desperation to make it.
Yeah.
And everyone's, because I just see it so much. Everyone wants to, and I'm all about delegation. Don't get me wrong here. I don't want anyone to be like, I think delegation is huge, but I think there has to be a point where you're not being lazy.
Well, you can either, I mean, I look at that and you can either have the funds to let those jobs slide so that you can take the time to train that person, or if you don't have funds, hopefully you have time and you can invest your time into that. Like, you got to do one or the other.
That's like,
it's going to take time or funds.
With everything I talk about, right? I always think about the companies that are less, like that are in one of those three stages, right? Whether they're building momentum, they're building a small movement, or they're becoming a machine.
Yep.
And that's 5 million and less, right? So $0 to 5 million less. That's the business I understand so well.
Yep.
Beyond 5 million, being a monument, that doesn't excite me.
Yeah.
Because I like to express myself.
Yeah.
And those, once you're a monument, you're now like a Wendy's, a McDonald's, whoever. There's uniforms, there's processes. It's just touch and go, super simple, very basic, and to me would seem lifeless. Right.
See, I'm excited for that.
I know, that's the thing. That's why I love our personalities. Right.
I'm excited for it because when I had Prospector and we grew it and we did the same thing, it was like, I don't remember how you described that, but we got to the point where we were a machine.
Yep.
And we got to start optimizing the machine. And that's when I was like, this is dope.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I love the machine stage.
This is cool.
Yeah.
Just looking at data and going, how can we make it, like, where are we lacking? What are our problems? How do we use this data to figure out the changes we should make? And I really love it when I can go pull past data and apply a change to it and see the outcome and see that it's going to be like this monumental outcome, and then go make that change in the business. And all your guys are like, you're crazy. And I'm like, no, trust me, it's going to work out. And then a year later you go look and it did exactly what you thought it was going to do. I love that.
Yes.
So fun to me.
It is so fun. The machine stage, I love the machine stage.
I love it.
I love the movement stage. To me, like a movement stage is when you're 3 to 6 trucks.
Yeah.
Because it's just exciting. It's all new. You probably just got branded. Branding's one of your best marketing tools.
Oh, yeah.
PPCs, like spending money on PPCs and stuff, I want to say that's your worst marketing tool because it's so easy to, it's cold leads, it's hard to book, whatever.
Yep.
But like if I get a truck out there that looks awesome, way better quality. So if I was looking, like if I was a newer company and I'm like, man, I got to get this marketing to figure it out. First thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to be a part of like my Facebook groups and whatever. I'm going to just be a community leader, very loud. Everybody's going to know who I am.
Yep.
And then from that point, I'm going to make some extra money, and then I'm going to get branded really well. I'm not just using some person. I'm going to do it the right way.
Yeah. Go hire Kick Charge.
Yep, exactly. Yep. Exactly who I'm hiring.
Yep.
Kick Charge. And I know it's a pretty penny, but I'd rather spend that money on Kick Charge than spending like a $10,000, $20,000 a month PPC budget.
Well,
right?
You're
gonna lose all that money. Nothing will show a weaker company than a company that uses a lot of money in marketing, but has nothing like to show that they're legit.
Yep.
So it's like, get branded right, and then you will get calls just from that. That's gonna pay for itself way quicker.
Yep.
But the thing is, they look at PPC and they're like, oh, it's only $20 a lead. Did you know it's like 5 to 7% is like the booking ratio on a PPC? It's not much. It's very minimal. So if you start doing the math, it's like, oh my gosh, it's really coming down to like a $250 lead.
If you track your PPC calls all the way through to sale, they're the most expensive calls you can run.
And they look like they're the cheapest. That's why I want to tell people, like, don't do it.
You cannot afford to scale off PPC alone.
No.
It will not work. No. That has to be a portion of your strategy. A portion. Yeah, I could talk about this all day long because And it's so hard to scale right now because it's competitive. And then, call volume sunk after COVID. There's all these people in the space trying to run a business.
Yep.
They're all trying to buy leads.
Yep.
I think people are starting to get smart now, and they're like, man, we can't just buy leads. We have to spend money on brand awareness.
Yep.
Facebook is getting more expensive.
Yep. They're finally catching up.
They're catching up.
Yep.
And I think you have to be more aggressive now.
I agree.
Especially with your brand awareness. Like, you can't just create garbage posts on social media and boost them out there.
Don't even get me started on TikToks. When people start making like certain kind of TikToks and they're not done right, it just drives me nuts. It's like, what are you doing?
What I hate is the whole, there's this big push for people to make organic content. And I'm like, guys, you're a local business.
Yeah.
You put, like, they're trying to get views on reels. And I'm like, guys, those views mean nothing.
Yeah.
Nobody in your target audience saw this video.
Oh, they're just taking $100 bills and just burning them.
Yeah.
One after another. It drives me nuts.
Yeah.
And I see so many people do it. I'm like, what are you doing? You're not focusing on what makes you money today. You're staying busy because he creates some kind of false security for you.
Yep.
And it makes you feel better because all your buddies are like, oh, look at what you did.
Yep.
It's like, no, nobody actually cares. I've never used a contractor that I saw a TikTok. Actually, I've never seen a contractor TikTok in Cape Coral.
Yeah.
So why are you spending your time there?
So we have grown Dude Wash in 3 months. We have the call volume probably to keep 3 guys busy, maybe 4, probably 4 if our sales were better. If we had more time to train on sales, it'd be 4 guys busy. Yeah. All that call volume came from social media ads, creating eye-catching content and then paying to put it in front of the right person and hitting them multiple times a month. But we've had to get it. Number one, it costs more now than it used to. And then number 2, if I go look in my market, there's a bunch of people advertising on Facebook, but it's all just, there's no video.
Yep.
None of it's funny. None of it catches attention. And if you want to stand out now, you got to get attention.
I was scrolling last night. One of your ads came up.
Yeah.
Because I was at the beach.
Yeah.
And I felt so stupid because I scrolled past it real quick because I didn't want you to spend money on it. And then I was like, no, I should watch that because I wanted to see. So I scrolled back to watch that video. So I watched a stupid video again so I could see your ad.
Yep.
And, at that point I was already gone. And I was so mad at myself. I didn't
get to see it. Get a bunch of them.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's been our most successful thing. That and billboards. People always, they're like, oh, we can't, their billboards don't work. I'm like,
they work.
I'm like, BS. You just have sucky billboards.
Yeah, you have the wrong person designing them.
Ours are super simple.
That's why.
That's
simple. What I'm saying. Like,
your house called it wants a bath. Yeah. We got one that says cleaner than your search history. We got another one that says we do it better than your husband.
That's so funny.
Like, just be a little bit funny.
Yes.
We get people. We go to people's houses and we're like, how'd you hear about us? I saw your billboards. They're funny.
They're so funny.
Yep. Or your social media ads are all over my phone.
Yeah.
That's why they called us.
You want to be memorable? Make somebody laugh.
You know how much easier those customers are to sell?
Yeah.
Way easier.
Oh, yeah.
Way, way easier.
That's like, I always go back to like, be the 9%, be the 9%. Those are the kind of things they do because it's like you give someone a good experience.
Yeah.
They're going to remember that. They also remember the bad ones. So it's like, don't do that. Don't be like, just do it with class. Yeah. Right. And that's why I always worry about it, sometimes people can be classless or whatever. It's just, it doesn't have like the good tastefulness of it.
Yep.
And so it's like, if that's not, this is a cool thing that Sarah taught me. She was a social worker at one point. While I was plumbing, she's doing social work. And one of the things she had said to me, it had totally changed my life, was like, stay in your lane. Know what you're good at and just stay there. And when you have your company, it's like your plumbers, their lane is plumbing, not dispatching.
Nope.
The dispatcher's lane is dispatching, not plumbing.
Yep.
And so it's like, everyone just stay your lane, be really good at that.
Yep.
It's like with marketing. If you don't know like computers and stuff, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Why are you wasting your time? But because I see people in this trade, they typically start their businesses when they're like 40.
Yep.
It's like 40, 45, they start getting that itch. And sometimes it's younger than that. It's like 25. But like you never see anyone starting at like between 30 and 40 typically because they have a young family, they want security and
Those
stuff.
young guys got the advantage.
The young guys have a huge advantage.
Yeah.
And the old guys need to know their lane.
Yeah.
Because you're not a tech savvy guy. So why are you wasting your time?
Yep.
Get somebody who can help you do that.
Yep.
There's a lot of people out there who would be more than happy to. And then you be really good at plumbing and just do that. Manage your guys.
Yep.
That's what you know.
Yep.
And that's one of the caveats that keeps people stagnant.
Yeah.
Is they're like, oh, I don't know computers, so I'm gonna try to take this course on computers. It's like, dude, you're 50. Like I hope you can learn new things, but I mean, let's play our statistics a little bit here.
Yeah.
It's not looking good for you.
Yeah.
And so unless you're like a unicorn and you've really kept your brain fresh, I would say just stick with what you know.
Yeah.
And let's get through these next 10, 15 years and create your company amazing. Whereas you can give it to your kids or you can sell it, whatever you want. That's your decision.
Yeah.
You know, but let's make it profitable first.
Yeah.
And you working on the computer is not going to make it profitable.
No. No, it's not.
Or doing the marketing.
Yeah. So you grew this relatively quick.
Yeah, 3 years.
And then like at your peak, what did the company look like?
That's awesome. We had a dispatcher. I did have an in-house CSR answering the phones.
Mm-hmm.
I do kind of regret that. But my in-house CSR had been with me since she was my very first hire, actually. So it wasn't like I wasn't just gonna.
Yeah.
She had respected that. She had earned that. Where it's like even though I knew Plumbline answered better and got more leads.
Are you in the camp that a CSR is a good first hire?
Not over an office manager.
So you would hire an office manager first.
If I would do it again, if there was a company out there that was like Plumbline, the problem is like when Plumber wasn't around,
right?
We hired the other answering services, and they were horrendous. That's the whole reason I started Plumline.
They were awful.
Yeah,
yeah,
and they will always be.
Yeah,
that's why I'm never worried.
Yeah,
like I know my numbers so well with Plumline that like when someone's like, oh, well, these people supposedly charge less or they charge per minute. We've done the math, and you're charging. I'll let Sarah talk to that kind of stuff. You're spending way more money. So it's like, so I'm part of the camp is like hire an office manager who can just focus on like the jobs and rescheduling those jobs. We want to book as many jobs as possible so we actually know what our flow looks like.
So you're kind of splitting up those because I would hire a CSR / off. I would just have her do both roles.
Yeah.
But it makes sense if you can you can get Plumline just answering your calls, booking them. So your office manager is she's doing the dispatching, the rescheduling,
pulling permits,
keeping your software up to date, all that stuff. Okay.
Because the personalities, you're looking at the things you got to look at, like percentages of personalities in an area. Now, yeah, if you get lucky enough, I would still never do it. But because like our office manager, she wanted to answer phones for us. She's like, yeah, I can do them both. I said, but it's that strain on relationship.
Yeah.
She still works with us to this day. She always will. Because we don't strain that relationship. You have to look at that. If you're actually about life-giving businesses, you don't want to optimize my people at their fullest capacity, but I want to keep them learning and growing, and I want to do that very gently.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm part of the camp is get an office manager. The way that we build with Plumline, it's a no-brainer, honestly, all the way through. We're even now getting like larger companies that run the numbers and like it's actually cheaper to have Plumline than to have like 5 CSRs at our company. And it is. And so
like at Prospector, we could keep 2 CSRs busy all the time.
Yeah.
But then over like busy season, we didn't have we had
enough.
too much for him to do. And then slow season, it was like we had just enough. It's like, well, and we should, like when we can't answer the phone, we should run it over to Plumber. Our problem was our capacity was so limited. Like we had so many calls. We had to turn Plumline off because you guys would book too many.
I know.
We were
remember that.
Turn them off. Quit answering the phone.
We want to always book for the same day. We've definitely come a little more lenient. There are certain situations where you could like email in and be like, hey, we need to be a day down or 2 days down. We don't prefer that because you don't want, when you have your employees that are set up like a certain way, you don't want to change it too much because it can make them uncomfortable. And once they're uncomfortable, then the quality drops significantly and then you're losing calls.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing is like, that's the same thing like with my plumbers and how I created my price book. I made it so simple that they were so confident using it that it was easy for them to sell. It didn't take 30 minutes to sell.
Yeah.
It took 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And we're moving. And that's how we become more efficient. And so that's the same thing. Is you have to think about like, how do I structure, a business that's answering phones for so many trades companies and make it where my CSR sounds like they're literally with that company.
Yeah.
And I think we found a secret sauce there, and we've done an exceptionally good job.
Yeah.
But yeah, so to go back is like, I think the most profitable. Well, once like Mountaineer got to the point where we were at that machine stage, we had office manager. We actually had office manager, dispatcher. It was at that point we were just reaching like 10 service trucks rolling for all the time. Supervisor, GM, and then you kind of have myself overseeing everything. And it was and how I taught, and I taught my supervisor and my GM, like, if somebody's struggling, they're the ones who are going out to that job. Like, we're not going to wait till 4 o'clock. We're not going to wait till 3 o'clock. They're not supposed to be just sitting around the office. It's like, if someone needs a water heater, guess who's bringing it? My supervisor. Oh, now this guy's struggling with the jetting machine. All right, well, supervisor's doing this. Now my GM's going and helping this guy. Because now I'm able to take my best guys and make sure that the job's being done correctly. And so they were the best reinforcements for my team.
Gotcha.
And because what you'll find is like those who are newer in the trade, they value the trade more. And so they'll be like, oh man, I got to rebuild this stack. It's going to take 4 hours for me to do it, or 6 hours for me to do it. Well, if I took someone who's been rebuilding sewer stacks for 20 years, guess what? It's going to take him an hour.
Yeah.
So he's going to bid out for an hour.
Yep.
And that's the problem, is they don't value them. They don't realize how good they really are until you can put somebody younger there. So I started to like classify my plumbers as like, you had your plumbers, you had your lead technicians, and then you had your supervisor and your GM.
Yep.
So, and then you also had senior techs in there too, because we were building to that. And I wasn't planning, this is the whole thing like with like selling the company. I never was planning on selling Mountaineer.
Right.
It caught me off guard.
So at this point, you're building it to grow the thing.
I want to have 40
Yeah.
service techs in the next 2 years.
Yep.
My media contract for that upcoming year was going to be $1 million. Just with the local media. That's not even with Google and everything.
Nice.
Because I said, we're going to do it. Like, we're going to be that 30, 40 truck service company
Yep.
that's doing 500 jobs a day.
Yeah.
And we were on pace for that.
Yeah.
But the reality was, when that company came to us, Sarah and I were like, oh, we'll just hear it out for kicks, and so they set up a meeting with their CEO, and he came on and he kind of talked to us and know where we were, and he just like right then and there dropped a number, and we were shocked because of where we came from. I mean, you're talking 3 years. So you're looking at this massive deal.
Yeah.
And it was funny because like Sarah starts crying because we have it. Like, we were just like, I mean, it's just money today, out tomorrow, money today, out tomorrow. Like, we're moving forward. And then it's like, oh, you can have this amount of money. It can all be done.
Yeah.
Because there are moments like in our business where, we wake up in the middle of the night and have a panic attack.
Yeah.
Because it's just a lot.
Yep.
And that's why I can relate with that. So when I'm looking at a company or I'm talking to somebody who owns a company, I want to listen for like, where you at? And not everybody's going to grow a business like we did in 3 years. I think that's just it's a unicorn experience, really.
Yep.
And so it's like, okay, what key things did we do during those 3 years that maybe can draw them out for 5 to 8 years with somebody else?
Yeah.
And they can have the same results. And I think I'm going to see that with a few companies.
Yeah.
That we're hitting like year 2 and 3 that I've been able to work with them.
Yeah.
And they're hitting those numbers. I'm super proud of it, to be honest.
So do you miss, like, do you ever regret selling?
No. Like, the only thing I miss is the prestige.
Yeah.
Like, the ability to be like, because like now, like, nobody, I'm just with my kids, right? I'm just Mr. That's the most honorable position. Mm-hmm. But it's like, nobody sees it.
No.
Nobody's like, oh man, look at how Matt's treating Simi. Look at how Matt took Sky for a walk and is talking to her and like just igniting her creativity. Mm-hmm. Nobody sees that.
No.
Whereas like the other day, it's like, man, I'm on the news. I have my own segment.
Yep.
I got guys who look up to me and I'm changing their life. Mm-hmm. That kind of stuff I do miss.
Yeah.
But there was sometimes we look back at with like rose-colored glasses.
Yeah.
And that's the way I like to do it. I like to look back and be like, man, I was in love with what that was. Who knows where I was? Because what happened as soon as I sold it? What happened? The market stalled hard, really hard. And I saw a lot of people go from really strong companies to nothing.
Yeah.
It was like almost seemed like overnight.
Yep.
Even like when we sold a month prior, the day that we were actually supposed to sell, Silicon Valley Bank collapsed.
Yeah.
So all deals were off. That was the same day we woke up and none of our employees with Plumline got paid either. And we were down here in Florida. We were down here in Florida on vacation.
Yep.
We were ready to book a flight that night and handwrite all my employees' checks so they could have money. Because for those, I mean, they need money.
Yeah.
And we were, it's like, what just happened? So like that moment happened and it was so like eye-opening that then I was like, okay, I got to do whatever I got to do to close this now. And so that's what we did.
Yeah.
That bank collapsed and like 2 weeks later, the other bank collapsed. And we're like, oh my goodness, we got all these loans on these trucks.
Yep.
Because we did overextend a little bit on loans on trucks. I would always recommend is like 4 is the maximum, because at that point you should be making enough money. You could buy a new truck every year in cash.
Yeah.
But because you start like learning how to leverage debt so well, they kind of get used to it. And it's a little too easy to like, oh yeah, here we go. Here's another 200,000 of debt. Oh, here's another 400,000 debt. And you don't realize what's actually happening. It puts you in a really bad situation if anything was to happen, which God forbid.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we, and we got the deal done. We made it happen.
Yeah.
Yep. I gave them a time frame. I said, if it's not done by this day, deal's off. I'm moving on with my life. Because the due diligence process, they make it sound like it's going to take like a couple months.
Gee,
ours took a year.
Dude, so my broker, he described it to me as a financial colonoscopy. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, it can't be that bad.
It's bad.
It's no fun.
I would not recommend it to anybody. And they're tricksters.
Yep.
To say it about, they're playing the game. They know this game.
Oh yeah,
and
they're using terms that you don't know what they mean. Mm-hmm. I have never spent so much time on YouTube researching financial terms as I did when I sold my business.
I'd always look at Sarah and I would look at it. I was like, I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like speak a layman's term. I'm a tradesman. I don't know I never went to college.
Yep.
I don't know what you're saying.
Yep.
And so you're going into it blind, and I would highly recommend if you're ever in that position where people are giving you legit offers. There's a lot of people so there's like brokers that go around and they like give offers. They're like, hey, you want to be bought? You got to be bought.
Yeah.
They're not that company.
No.
They're trying to find people to sell because they get a percentage of commission to sell that company. So a lot of companies think they're getting offers and they're not getting anything.
Yeah.
And so it's giving them this false security like they're actually doing something right and they're not.
Yeah.
And so if you ever do get to a legit part of where like you're sellable, reach out to somebody who sold so they can help walk you through it because it's a long haul.
Yeah. Did you guys have a broker involved?
No.
Yeah, that'd be tough.
It was tough.
I leaned on my broker quite a bit.
I leaned on Sarah quite a bit.
Yeah.
Sarah had after like going and you get, the thing is when you get all this pressure and they're looking into everything and they're asking for the same stuff over and over and over and over and over again. It's like, you guys should already have this. Like nothing's changed.
Yep.
It just wastes so much time and then it stagnates your business. And that's why I got to a point, it's like, I need to know what side of the mountain I'm supposed to be climbing right now. Yeah, Am I the owner of it or are you? Because if you're not serious about this, I'm kicking you out. I'm not going to show you my books and I'm moving on.
Running a business to run a business and running a business to get it sold are two totally different things.
Totally. Yep.
Like in normal life, you might just get rid of this employee. During sale time, you're trying to retain everybody.
Yeah.
You don't want, I lost 3 guys overnight.
Exactly.
Or, I laid
so you
them
put
off
up with
because
a lot
I didn't
more.
like them. So you start putting up with it,
It's
and
true.
it starts hurting your culture, starts hurting your numbers.
It sure did.
And you're like, we got to hurry up and get this sales process over because I can't sustain this much longer. And it's weird to me that the buyers don't understand that more.
Mm-mm. Oh, they look at and that's the thing like with like marketing, right? If you're stuck in this stage and you want to get to the next stage, what's going to happen is I'm gonna invest in my company. I'm gonna lose profit percentage so I can get to the next stage because I'm gonna act bigger.
Yeah.
The only way you get to the next stage is by acting like it, and then eventually the business will catch up.
You got to spend like it.
You got to spend like it.
It's like right now I'm spending like I'm a $4 million company. And I'm not.
Yes.
There ain't no money left over at the end of the month.
Well, that's what I've got a lot better where like, when people do ask for advice and I'm working them through their business is like, all right, we can sit in this stage for a year and save up the money, have the money, and then when we're ready, because there's no race.
Yep.
And we were like, I just, it was always like, go, 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 go. Like you'd hit a pinnacle and it's like, yeah, we reached it. Now on to the next one. Keep climbing, keep climbing. And you're like trying to get oxygen. It's like, I don't even know what's going on. Like, it's like, all right, let's calm down.
Yep.
Let's calm down. COVID's over. Everything's resetting. You're probably not going to grow a business and sell in 3 years. That's the reality. It's like 8%. Only 8% ever of national, like all the businesses, only 8% ever end up being sold.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
Yeah.
And so it's realizing that, okay, I'm a kind of guy, once I started to get into business more, I learned I have to know my statistics and I'm going to play to the statistical chance of this is what's going to happen. And if it ends up better than that, that's the luck.
Yeah.
That's the luck.
Yep.
You see? And so everything I look at is like, okay, well, if only 8% are actually selling, I'm not going to plan on selling. I'm going to plan on running this until the day I die.
Yeah.
And if it sells, sweet.
Yep. That's kind of how I thought too.
Yeah.
I can relate. I relate a lot. I didn't make any money for 2 years. I watched, like I built a big savings account when I was in the truck by myself.
Yeah.
I watched it all disappear.
Yeah.
I mean, we were down to like nothing.
Oh, yeah.
A couple grand in the bank.
Yep.
Hoping to make, I'd wake up on Mondays and there'd be a couple grand and I had 7 guys to pay on Friday. And a lot of people would just say that's irresponsible. And I'd be freaking out. But my wife would always be like, you got 5 days to make enough money.
Yep.
You're going to make it.
Yep.
And I'd be just like, I wouldn't be sleeping. I'd be freaking out. And my wife is just steady, confident.
That's our secret weapon
It
for you
really
and
is,
me.
man.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you're going into this alone, or you're dating somebody, don't.
Oh yeah.
Because the strain on your relationship it's going to cause, and if that relationship doesn't work out, your business isn't going to work out. I've just seen it too much where like people try to go in and they're not married. They act like they're married, but they don't have those kind of commitments, strong commitments to each other yet. And so when the money's not there and things are going on, they end up falling apart. And then once you're like that relationship falls apart, your mental state is not in the right position.
No.
And so you're going to quickly fall apart. You're going to make really bad decisions. I literally watched a guy who should have been making a ton more money. And similar situation happened to him. And then he started making some really dumb decisions. And he fired, marketing companies, got rid of plumb lines, started cutting back because he's like, oh, I'm going to make more money this way. And it just flatlined. Beep,
I don't understand why people cut marketing.
It makes no sense.
Cut labor.
Yep.
If the labor's not making you money, cut the labor. And that sounds terrible.
Was there ever a point that you say, oh, this is enough?
No.
Neither for me.
If I had labor that I couldn't keep busy, I spent more on marketing.
Yeah.
Whether I had the money or not.
Yeah.
I wouldn't raise budgets. And it always worked out. Because you spend a little bit of money and get work right away. And if you have the ability to take the call, go to the job, close it, and turn it into a decent average ticket, the marketing's paid for.
Yeah.
It's not like you're forking out 10 grand and then waiting a month for it to come back.
Yeah.
It's instant. Google's billing you every day.
And here's the thing.
And you're getting money in every day.
If you're starting to get into a situation where money's really tight.
Sometimes the answer is spend more money.
Well, that too, I was
I just went through this with a client the other day. It was like, we crunched the numbers. I'm like, dude, you can literally spend like $3,000 more on pay-per-click and make 20% profit instead of 0.
Yeah.
Why aren't you doing that?
Yeah. Well, why are we so, my thing is if money's getting really tight, you should be the first up to bat.
Oh yeah.
If it comes down to that,
yep,
you're the guy. You've always been the guy. The thing is, owners, what happens is they get out of the truck. They're like, oh man, I'm out of the truck. They flaunt it. They're so prideful about it. Then they get in a bad position and they got to go back in the truck and they're like, well, maybe I forgot it all.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you what, You go back in that truck, you're gonna feel just like me back in the truck.
You don't forget it.
You don't forget. It comes right back to you, and you're gonna crush it. And you're gonna start selling tankless water heaters, main sewer lines. You're gonna push 100K because now you've sat back and you've seen how your other guys perform.
Yep.
So you sit back and you're gonna move 100,000 like a month,
dude,
or in a couple of weeks.
So I used to do ride-alongs with my guys. I hope they listen to this because I never gave them crap when I rode with them.
Yeah.
We would literally sell every job.
Yeah.
Every single job. And they would do more in that day than they did in a week normally.
Mm-hmm.
And it was literally just communicating clearly to the customer.
Yeah.
And then offering more stuff.
Yeah.
It was it.
It was.
It's not even that hard.
It's not.
Anyway, if you go back in the truck, you'll kill it. I promise.
I know. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Confidence, competence, great attitude.
Yep.
You know, go in like you actually want to do the job. It's that simple. You don't need this. Is the thing I like sales training to a certain point. If you have to memorize 400 objections, you're never going to do it.
Dude, I was so anti-sales training for so long.
Yeah.
And because I would see guys.
Yeah.
They'd be getting all these phone calls. They'd be booking these jobs, and they're blaming it on their guys not closing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the answer. Like so they'd go buy sales training.
Yeah.
And then it would do no good.
It wouldn't.
I'd be like, you're an idiot. Charge more for the jobs you are closing.
Yep.
Like start there.
Yeah.
Offer more stuff to your customers. Start offering options. Get your average tickets up. That's a better answer in my mind.
You know what we found? This is a little thing with Mountaineer why I was so successful is I found like drains from my gold mine.
Yeah.
So we would charge $499 to pop a drain. Everybody else was charging. At that time it was $99 anytime. Now they're down to like $29, which is crazy to me.
You know that only includes like it's an apprentice that goes out with a snake.
Yeah.
He's allowed to snake for like 15 minutes. Yeah. That's it. And then he has to like they're running those. I've gotten the procedure for it.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous seeming.
It is.
I mean, maybe it works. I hate it.
I do too.
Hate it with a passion.
Like I understand what they're trying to accomplish with like, you know, getting the liners or whatever.
We did the same thing as you. We'd be $700 some to come snake your drain, but we included a free camera with it.
We did too. And
we would sell the value up front, and we sold those all day long.
Yep.
All day.
We eventually got to the point where we just jet for like $1,895.
Yeah.
And then as we grew and we got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, then it's like, all I want to do is jet. So we would like pop a line for $299 and then throw the camera in and then jet.
Yeah.
Because we always knew it was going to be Roots, Clay, Orangeburg, something like that.
Something.
So, but then we ended up doing it so much, we could move that price down to $995.
Yeah.
That was a fun day.
Yeah.
That was cool. Because then we close every single one. It's a close. But the thing is, you got to look at you have to look at when you're charging, like let's say I'm jetting drains. I have a 4-truck company. I'm jetting drains. I'm selling 4 hours. It's $1,895.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy next to me is selling drains at $99. Okay, how many jobs do they need? And how many jobs do I need?
Yeah.
And that's simple math there. Anybody can figure this one out.
Yep.
It's like I only need 2.
Yep.
For their 20.
Yep.
2 for 20? Okay, let's play that game. I'll play that game all day, and I'll win.
Yeah.
I did win.
Yep.
That's the nice thing is like proof is in the pudding. It's not like I'm just like shooting out like, oh yeah, I did this thing and I didn't win. It's like, no, I won. I was better than companies that did that.
Yep.
And they're all scratching their heads. How's he doing? How's he doing it? It's like, it's just service. It's great service. Because when we cleaned a drain, it wasn't going to back up for a year or 2 or whatever.
Yep.
If it did back up let's say it backed up within 3 months, we do it for free.
Yeah. Because you can afford to.
Yeah, because I can afford to. Because we're actually charging the proper price.
Yeah.
You know, instead of doing that stupid, I'm going to pop the drain. It backs up again next week. Oh, we got to charge you again, another $99. You got to charge you again. What do you think your customer's doing, man? And then we go in, and I go on television and say, if plumbers are coming out to you anytime allotted within 3 years, if they're constantly coming out to you in 3 weeks, 3 months, whatever it is, they're not a good plumber.
No.
I said our goal at Mountaineer is to come out once every 3 years. That's the average. Once every 3 years, you should see my truck in your driveway. And this was kind of counterproductive because we never got into memberships. So it's easy for me to say that because we're not selling a monthly membership either.
Right.
So I was like, but we were selling like, hey, if we come out, it's not going to be cheap. It's not going to be the cheapest, but it's going to be the best. And it's going to be the best value because they're only going to pay for it once.
That's the thing that you need to get your guys to understand is the cheapest price isn't always the best value.
Correct.
And if you can teach them to communicate that to the customer, you don't need sales training.
The best car salesman in West Michigan, he ended up being my car salesman too. And that's the key word he always said. He always said, well, it's a best value.
Yep.
It's best value, Matt. And then I picked up on that. I actually this guy was so good. I literally just started stalking him. Became Facebook friends. I watched how he writes posts. I watch how anytime he reacted to anybody's thing that was a friend of his, he would do a shocking face. Like, and you know why? Because I always noticed when he liked my stuff because it was the only one that'd be a shocking face.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, wow, he really, he cares about me. He cares about my life, whatever. Because that one stood out. It wasn't just a like.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a heart. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, wow. This is really cool, Matt. And that's the way I thought about it, which warmed me up for him. So there's a little thing there. It's like, be a little bit different. Do the shocking. Watch, everyone's going to start responding to myself with shocking faces now.
Dude, I'm amazed at, let's see where we're at with time here. Oh, man.
We're there.
World's longest podcast. Okay,
Sorry.
last thing. I'm amazed, and I don't know if you've done this or seen this, how well you can network with your personal Facebook page.
Yeah.
It's wild to me.
Yeah. That's a machine that a lot of people don't put a lot of work into, but it's a hidden gold mine.
It is a very hidden gold mine.
Yep.
Literally just talking about what you're doing regularly.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, okay, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate you being here.
Went a lot quicker. I was quite nervous coming in, but I was like, I got about 10 minutes.
It's just a conversation. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we'll
Thanks,
do it
brother.
again sometime.
Yeah, absolutely.
All righty.